Hi guys, welcome back to Victory Garden by Rain, and I am here today to tame the wild tomato beast. Alright, so as you can see, those tomato plants are extremely loaded. I went ahead and planted those while I still had the brassicas in there, and we did not have this trellis. My sweet husband actually just came out here and put this up for me this morning, so I was pretty excited about that. And then we had a massive random summer storm or early late spring storm, whatever you want to do, call it. But I'm sorry, my hair is just, anyway, whatever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach these tomatoes to the trellises, this trellis. This is quite simply 2 T-posts, 6 zip ties, and a half of a goat panel, livestock panel. And we just took some bolt cutters and cut it down the middle, because these beds are 8 feet, and so I wanted the trellises like this. But these are my favorite types of trellises. This is how I prefer to trellis my tomatoes. It makes it neat and tidy. It kind of gives me like a hidden secret garden look in my for my garden, and I love that. And so anyway, I'm really excited to have it. So today I'm going to trellis them up. Now we're getting started late because we are just really swamped trying to get some things together for my birthday party coming up. I'm turning the big 4-0, so I'm really excited about that. I'm so thankful that God has blessed me with that, being able to turn 40. There was a time in my life, several times in my life, where I didn't think that was a possibility, and so I'm super thankful and very excited about that. But I would like for my tomatoes to get up off the floor of the raised bed, and so there's a couple of different varieties. The one that I have right here that I'm working on is Tappy's Heritage, and then I have Wood's Famous. I'm not sure what the other one is, and I'll tell you when I get to it. But anyway, essentially what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of set the camera up so that you guys could see how I'm trellising these, and get a picture of how to use a cattle panel for a tomato trellis. All right, so the tools that I'm using today are going to be my pruners, and I get these from Ace. I love them. They're the floral pruners. They're not really great for once the tomato gets super woody and super thick, if you live in an environment to do that. And then I'm going to be using this flex tie. I'm not really sure where I got this. It was gifted to me. A lot of people gift me things, which I'm super thankful for. But as far as like referencing where they're at, got nothing. A friend. But I'm going to try this to see how I like it. I usually use just like a green tie, stretchy tie type thing. But I'm going to see how I like this, because I like the idea of being able to keep it and reuse it over the years. But I'm going to actually take and pre-cut some strips just like that. This is it's a wire that's coated with like a rubbery, it doesn't even say, but if you cut it, you can see my phone's not going to zoom in or like that. I have an airplane going over, but anyway, so I'm gonna cut strips about long, probably as long as my hand, not as long as my hand, and then have those laid out so that as I'm, pruning and going up the trellis, I'll just be able to grab and not have to stop and clip and stop and clip, and so it just makes the job a lot more efficient. Now, when pruning tomatoes, there's just so much debate about that and so much out there for it. I personally prune indeterminate tomatoes pretty heavily, because I want them to be on this trellis. And then determinate tomatoes, I haven't really grown a lot of those. This year is my first year to really focus on determinate tomatoes for production. But I'll just prune off the ones that are like the branches and things that are in the way. But I'm gonna give a demonstration right here and show you, and then once I get this put up against the trellis, then I'll show you kind of what I did. All right, so I'm pretty much done with this first one. This is the Tappy's Heritage. So what I did is I just took and lifted it up off the bottom of the bed, or the top of the bed, and I just took the main leader. This is the main leader, which is the strongest stalk right here. And then I've got two little side shoots that are coming up. I've never grown this tomato before, so I'm not sure of the behavior of it. And so I'm just gonna keep all of the main leaders, the larger stalks. And so you can obviously tell that this one is the main one, but then I've got this this shoot coming up and this shoot coming up. And so I'm just gonna take and let it go and do its thing. Now, this right here is a sucker that has, you can't really see it. There you go. This right here is a sucker. See, this was the leaf, and then this is the sucker, and it developed into quite a sturdy branch. So instead of pruning that off, I'm just gonna keep it just to see how it does and what the behavior is. But now I'm gonna go through and prune off the leaves of this tomato. Now let me put you back over here. Putting you on my tripod. Okay, so this is your leaf, this part, and then this is your main stem, and then you have your flowers right here, which turn into your fruit, which I have one right here. You can't really see it, hold on. That's the fruit. So those are all the most important parts. So in Georgia, where I live south of Atlanta, and it it is very humid, and so the biggest attack against tomatoes in Georgia, where I live, is the humidity. So if you can create airflow and keep the leaves from getting wet and the disease from transferring from the soil, which is why you always want to have a mulch under your tomato. Well, you want to have a mulch on your plants all the time, but we're talking about tomatoes. So what I want to do is I want to keep these leaves from blocking airflow and from touching. They don't not want to touch, and they don't want to be near the ground. So if you'll notice down here, I don't have any leaves whatsoever. And that's because the blight that attacks tomatoes lives in the soil. It lives in the air, but mostly the contact is from the soil, the rain bouncing onto the soil, and then bouncing back up on, or the rain coming down onto your soil, then bouncing back up to your leaves. So you want to make that really clear. And when it comes to high intensity planting with my tomatoes, I always make sure that my tomatoes are pretty mature before I put something else in there, so that they can have that period of time to build up their immunity and get fed well and be able to have a natural defense against disease and pests. So anyway, so this is what I do. And so now I'm going to go through and I'm going to prune. And in my head, this is just me. I am not a professional. This is just how I do things. But I prune tomatoes just like I would a grapevine or a fruit tree. I don't want anything crossing or touching. I want all my shoots to go out. I tend to, if you want to use fancy terms, I tend to expelliar my tomatoes to where they're only, the branches are only, like the leaves only grow sideways, because I want my space in front of it, and I want it beautiful behind it, because that's my house. And so I want to be able to look out and see a beautiful garden, which tomatoes in themselves are just beautiful plants. But I just like it to be nice and tidy. And if I put the effort in the front end, which these are a little bit more mature than I usually work with, but in the front end, then they're going to grow and provide lots of fruit. Because you want shade, you want leaves on your tomato plants, especially here where I live, because the sun will sunburn them. They'll scald it, and you'll have this nice, beautiful red tomato with a big old white spot on it. It's where the sun has given it sunburn. So you do want some leaves on there, and you want it, and of course that's how the plant grows, and that's how photosynthesis and all of that jazz. But you just want to make sure that for me personally, I just like it to look a little bit more tidy. So anyway, so now I'm just going to cut off any leaves that look funky or that are pointing out, like this right here, this little crunchiness around the edges. There's nothing wrong with that tomato. The only reason I pruned it is because it was pointing outwards. And if you see that on your tomato, that just means that it got hot and it dried. It got hot and dry. So it just kind of a little bit. So like I said, I'm going through and I'm pruning out all of the leaves that point forward or cause any kind of, if they touch. So you see how this is curving a little bit? Now that I have everything kind of cleared up, I'm actually going to try to make it go upwards. And so I'm going to move my little ties over. All right, I think I do like these little ties because I've moved that like 3 times. But right now I only have 1, 2, 3, 4 ties on this tomato. Again, I've never grown this tomato before. I'm not sure what the production is going to look like, and I may need to add more, and that's okay, and I will. But for right now, that's how I'm going to leave it. So there it is. And then now I'm going to train the other ones. I'm going to do a couple of them just kind of in time lapse so that you can see the process. But there is a cherry tomato over here that is quite wild, and I'll bring you along for that. See, this whole situation is a cherry. So I just showed you a before clip of what we're working with. This is, those of you who are subscribed, please do that. This is the high intensity bed that I did, and I'm flipping it for the summer season. And what I did is the cauliflower that I planted in here didn't have enough time to grow before it bolted. So instead of that going to waste, I actually used it for a chop and drop live mulch situation. And I'm actually going to top that with compost, and I'll bring you along with that today. But that in this bed only leaves a few sunflowers. That's a sunflower right here. And then I've got some petunias and an nasturtium right here behind me. Isn't it just, So this is actually really cute. So my friend's sons came over and they just popped seeds in just kind of anywhere, and this is one of them, and I just think it's gorgeous. And And so is that. Hey, kitty kitty. Jordy Jordy. All right, so in pruning this one, I decided not to leave the two little friends on this one. And so I left this is the main leader. See this? Going up here. And then this was a sucker. And so since it was pretty established, I left it. But look, I'm so bummed. I broke the head of the tomato. I broke it. Broke it. I'm so sad. And I had little flowers and it was ready. But anyway, so that answers that question. So I'm actually going to go ahead and right after this tomato, oh well, here's one. I'll just go ahead and, well, I'll just leave it like it is, actually. I'm just going to leave it like that. Poor little baby, I'm so sorry I talked to you. So now I wonder, kind of gives you a picture of how skinny and defoliated my tomatoes are. So, but this is okay. Don't freak out. The first time I pruned a tomato like this in front of my friend Angela, she about had a stroke and was like seriously getting mad at me. But it's okay because this is for the health of the tomato, and what's happening is we're taking away all the unnecessary, potentially interfering parts of the plant, working on the soil health and the soil nutrition. And so it's going to be able to grow, because tomatoes are such high heavy feeders and they're a vine, and if they have a chance, they're going to grow crazy and grow all over the place, and that's going to take away from the fruit production on indeterminate tomatoes. So anyway, that's what that one looks like. All right, so that is a white cherry. This is a Woods Famous, and that is a Tappy's Heritage. So that's what those three so far are looking like. Now this is a monster. This is a black cherry. I don't know if you can see that. Black cherry tomatoes are a purple smoky flavored tomato that are my family's absolute favorite. And this guy is just a monster. It's everywhere. I think I'm going to have to lean and shift my already done guys right here to see, to try to make room, because this guy has suckers and everything fruiting everywhere, and I don't really want to sacrifice as much as I can. These guys I don't mind sacrificing because I'm not familiar with them yet, and they're still not too quite as fruiting, but this guy right here is loaded in tomatoes. So anyway, here we go. All right, one of the first things that I'm going to do when trying to tame this monster to get it on this trellis is to thin out all of the leaders that are smaller than my pinky. So for example, I'm going back to this is the main stem, so this is just a offshoot. I'm gonna go down here and I'm just gonna go ahead and get rid of that. That's gonna help And then I'm gonna look through here. Oh, just broke that leaf. And I see another one right here, and just get through that. And this, right off the bat, that takes care of any sort of thinking I have to do later on down the vine. All right, so this is everything that was pruned off, and then that's everything that's left. So this is the black cherry, and it's just hanging dangling over across. I realized that when I was pruning this, there's actually 2 cherry tomatoes right here, which is such a astounding thing because I don't know why I did that actually, but you know, hey, that goes it. But anyway, this is a white cherry, this one right here, and then this one that's leaning over and has one little friend up there, that's the black cherry. White cherry is something new. Baker Creek sent me that seed for free, and I wanted to try it out. But see, the thing is, cherry tomatoes are massive, and they go crazy, and they put out suckers like crazy, and they produce fruit like crazy. So it's great for food production. But I'm lying to you. I'm sorry. This one is the white cherry. This is a tomato. Yep, that's a tomato, and then this is the black cherry. So my point being, that's 3 cherry tomatoes that I put in there. Technically, tomato is a grape tomato, but so that's just a fluke. I don't know what happened there. So to pivot, what I'm gonna do right here is I'm gonna put a little arch. I think it's gonna be so pretty because I don't want to sacrifice any of these tomatoes, and they're growing beautifully in that space. And so I think it would be really cute to have a little tomato arch right over here in between these two. I've got a little pink blueberry right there. Maybe I'll put a little seed under here or something. I'm not sure, but that's what I'm gonna do because I don't want to sacrifice them. I want them all there. But anyway, there she is, all nice and tame. So the next step is I'm going to finish cutting up my brassicas to create that chop and drop is what it's called, chop and drop mulch. And then over there's a big pile of compost that I'm going to top it with. But for right now, I'm going to take a break because it is hot, very hot. So we'll be back. I realized that when I was pruning this, there's actually 2 cherry tomatoes right here, which is such a astounding thing because I don't know why I did that actually, but you know, hey, that goes it. But anyway, this is a white cherry, this one right here, and then this one that's leaning over and has one little friend up there, that's the black cherry. White cherry is something new. Baker Creek sent me that seed for free, and I wanted to try it out. But see, the thing is, cherry tomatoes are massive, and they go crazy, and they put out suckers like crazy, and they produce fruit like crazy. So it's great for food production. But I'm lying to you. I'm sorry. This one is the white cherry. This is a tomato. Yep, that's a tomato, and then this is the black cherry. So my point being, that's 3 cherry tomatoes that I put in there. Technically, tomato is a grape tomato, but so that's just a fluke. I don't know what happened there. So to pivot, what I'm gonna do right here is I'm gonna put a little arch. I think it's gonna be so pretty because I don't want to sacrifice any of these tomatoes, and they're growing beautifully in that space. And so I think it would be really cute to have a little tomato arch right over here in between these two. I've got a little pink blueberry right there. Maybe I'll put a little seed under here or something. I'm not sure, but that's what I'm gonna do because I don't want to sacrifice them. I want them all there. But anyway, there she is, all nice and tame. So the next step is I'm going to finish cutting up my brassicas to create that not live, chop and drop is what it's called, chop and drop mulch. And then over there's a big pile of compost that I'm going to top it with. But for right now, I'm going to take a break because it is hot, very hot. So we'll be back. All right, there she is. Nice and tidy and cleaned up. All right, the last step is I'm gonna grab my hose, nope, wrong way, and then I'm gonna water. So thanks for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like and subscribe button, and please comment down below if you have any questions. That really helps out my videos, and also I'd like to interact with you guys. I appreciate you guys being here. So I hope y'all have a blessed day, and thanks.